Hi, so you want to know how you can control your Dreamscreen in Home Assistant. This is the second video and I'm going to show you now how you can reach this result. So let's dive right into it. Hi there, it's Ed again. In the previous video about Dreamscreen I showed you how you can enable Dreamscreen in Home Assistant. It basically showed you how you can make Home Assistant recognize the Dreamscreen, but it didn't really show you how you can control your Dreamscreen. And that is what this video is about. Before I dive deep into it, I have to tell you something about how Home Assistant works, if you don't already know this, of course. For that we have to go to the developer tools. And in the developer tools you can see the states and services. And if I click on states, I can see all the attributes that my entity has. In my case it's Dreamscreen, and you see that the state is off, which means that it's set to off. And you see all the attributes like device mode, brightness, color, HDMI input, HDR, tone remapping, and so on. Basically all the variables that you can use in your Dreamscreen. And in services you see all the services wherein you can steer your Dreamscreen or control your Dreamscreen. So for instance, let's choose Dreamscreen set mode, and I choose for entity Dreamscreen. What I now see is that I can change the mode of the Dreamscreen, and down below you see that the modes is 0 for off, 1 for video, 2 for music, 3 for ambient. So if I fill in here the entity mode, entity ID mode, and I'm going to set it to 1, what happens then if I do call service is that my Dreamscreen will switch over to video. So then the mode is set to video. So I can check it in states, and if I choose again here for my Dreamscreen entity, then I see that the state is on and that my device mode is set to 1, which basically means that now my Dreamscreen switches over to television. So as you can see, the interaction between Dreamscreen and my Home Assistant is working, and that's essential to go to the next step. So now let's set up the controls. And to set up the controls, I have to create a new dashboard. If I go to the default overview dashboard, there all the entities that are in my Home Assistant are being shown here automatically. And I'd like to keep it that way, because every time when I add something new to my Home Assistant, it will be shown here, so I know that it works. So I always leave the default one default, so I'm not going to change that. But I can create a new one. So we're going to create a new dashboard, and then we go to configuration, scroll down and go to Lovelace dashboards. And as you can see, there is the overview here, and this one is the same, which is in the top left, and that is my default overview dashboard. So I'm going to create a new one. I click on plus. I'm going to give it a title Dreamscreen controls. I can choose an icon if I like, but we'll just leave it like this. And the URL is Dreamscreen controls. And I can also see if it's for admin only or not. I'm going to create it. So now there is a new dashboard here, and as you can see, it's also on the left side in the menu. And if I click on it, you see that it looks exactly the same as the overview dashboard. But this one I will change, because I don't want to automatically generate things here. I want to show the Dreamscreen controls. So I'm going to click on configure UI here, and now I get a lot of text about if you change this, then your entities do not show automatically anymore, and so on and so on. But what I really want is, I want to start with an empty dashboard here, because I'm going to create a whole new dashboard for Dreamscreen alone. You can do it differently if you want to have a dashboard for your living room and have Dreamscreen into it. That can also be the case, but okay. So this is empty, And the next step that we have to take is that we have to create a tab. So click on the plus over here, and I'm going to give this a title, Dream Screen. I can also create an icon here, and I can make a URL of myself. I can choose a theme, all things that really don't matter for now. Let's just keep it like this and click on save. So now I have an empty tab where I can set up my dream screen controls. So I have to add a new component on this page, and I'm clicking on plus, and I think a nice component would be the glance card to use for this. So let's go for the glance card. And the default interface for the glance card is shown here. It automatically fills with entities that you already have, or some entities, and in this case it's filled with hex. I'm not going to use hex. I'm going to change all this. So I'll give it a title. It's called Dreamscreen. Inputs. I'm going to make the controls for the inputs here, and I can choose a lot of other stuff, but it doesn't really matter for now. The sensor hex is something that I don't need for now, and I would like to use the Dreamscreen entity. Only the Dreamscreen entity doesn't do much. So if I select it here, you can only see that it's on or off, but that's not what we want. We want to change the inputs. So that's what we're going to change in the code editor. So click the code editor, and now it can be a little bit tricky if you're not used to programming, but it's really easy if you get the hang of it. So well, let's change this a bit. I'm going to copy the title, paste it to the top. It's not really needed, but it's for my convenience that it starts with the title. So now we're going to add some new things. I don't want to show the state, so I'm setting show state to false. And as you can see on the right side, there's no state shown anymore. There was on, and it's no longer there. And the other thing is that I'm going to do is to define how many columns I want to show in my glance card. And I have 3 inputs, so I'm going to show you 3 columns here. And now I'm going to define the 3 entities that the Dreamscreen input has. So I'm starting with this entity, dreamscreen.dream_screen, and I'm going to give it an icon. So I'm setting the icon for the first entity, MDI, television, and you can see that the television appears on the right. So it's really real time, you know, it shows everything. It's really nice. And the next thing that I'm going to show here is the name, because I want to make it easier for myself, and I'm going to name it television, and then you see the television on the name of the television there. And now the interesting part starts, because now I'm going to tell the Home Assistant what should happen when I tap on television. So I'm creating a tap action, and I'm going to say the text action is call service, and now I'm going to say the service is called Dreamscreen.set_hdmi_source. And now I have to define what source I want to call with this service. So I'm going to define the service data, and I'm telling here the entity ID is Dreamscreen.dream_screen. And now I'm going to define the source. The source is going to be 0, because 0 is the source for the television Dreamscreen input, as you can see in the developer tools services part. So let's test this. So save this. So now you see that the Dreamscreen input is on the dashboard and that we can test the television button. So if I click on it, as you can see, the Dreamscreen switches to television. This means that it is working already. So this is really cool. We just created our first control to control our Dreamscreen. And in the same way, we are going to add the other inputs. The easiest way is by just copying this. So I'm copying this code, copy, and then I'm pasting it over here. And now I only have to change a couple of things. So obviously it's not television, but it will be movie in my case, because I have my Apple TV connected to it. So movie, you see that the icon changes, and I'm going to change the name also in movie. The tap action is the same. The only thing that we have to change is the source, and the source for the second HDMI input is 1. And now I'm going to copy this one more time for the third input on the Dreamscreen, and I'm calling this MDI music. The name will be music 2. And for the tap action, we're going to say the source is 2, because for music, the third input, the source is 2, so 0, 1 and 2. I'm going to save it, and now you see the controls on the dashboard again with television, movie and music. And if I click on them, you see that it changes from television to movie and back to television. And so you can click on every input and change it. On the music thing, I don't have anything connected now, so I'm not going. It won't respond. So now I'm going to make it for the mode 2, and therefore I copy some part of the code from Dreamscreen input. I'm going to add another glance card. I fill in the title Dreamscreen mode. It's not really necessary because I'm going to copy it over anyway, so let's just go to showcode editor, and I select all this text and I'm pasting the code from my Dreamscreen input television. So let's change this so it's going to work for mode. So the title I will make Dreamscreen mode. The first mode of the Dreamscreen is setting the Dreamscreen off to off. So I'm going to change this in the off state, and the icon I'm going to call it MDI power. For the name I'm going to say power off, and now I'm going to change the tap action. I don't want to set the HDMI source here, but I would like to set the mode. So I'm going to change the Dreamscreen set mode. Entity ID is the same, dreamscreen.dream_screen. And it's not a source that I want to change, but it's the mode. So I'm saying mode, and the mode is 0 for power off. I'm going to save it, and here it is. Here's the control for power off. So if I click on it, it will turn the Dreamscreen mode to power off, as you can see. Yay! And that works too. That's really cool. So now we're going to create the other modes by copying the power mode and change the code for that. So let's do that. Go to edit. And actually I want to have 4 columns because I have 4 modes, not 3. And I'm going to copy this part of the text. Like this. Okay. Copy. Paste. Alright, and now we're going to change this icon. The first one is video, so I'm going to call this MDI, let's say television. And the give the name video. And the tab action can stay the same. The only thing is that we have to change the mode, and for video it's 1. And now we're going to repeat this step 2 times. So paste it again, and we're going to change this to music. So we say the icon will be MDI music, and the name will be music, and the mode is going to be 2, and we copy it another time. MDI alarm lights, and name is ambience, and we are setting the mode this time to 3. So let's save it, and here we are. There are now 2 panels, 2 glance cards with the controls for your Dreamscreen. So we can now control the input and the mode. So if I switch to video, video mode is going on, music mode is going on, ambient mode is going on, power off mode is going on. This looks really nice, and basically this is all you have to do to control your Dreamscreen. But when I worked on it, I was a bit annoyed by the fact that I didn't really get feedback on what the status of my Dreamscreen was when I clicked on a button. So if you see this page, you don't really see, okay, but what is the current state that my Dreamscreen is in? And I wanted to take it one step further, that I can also see what the status is for that. And to do that, you have to develop a little bit more, and then you're really getting into developing more, because now we have to change code in a YAML file, in the configuration.yaml file, to get this working, and that is by creating custom sensors and custom switches. So I use an editor for this, and it's I use Atom, but you can use virtually any editor. And within the editor, I'm going to add new information for my Dreamscreen controls. And the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to define sensors. I'm going to create custom sensors. So, sensor. So now I have to define a platform, and I'm going to say the platform is template. So I'm going to create my own template. And now I'm going to say, to tell Home Assistant what sensors are within this platform. So the first sensor that I'm going to create is Dreamscreen mode. And I'm going to give it a friendly name, and the friendly name will be Dreamscreen mode. Now I'm going to give it a value, and you do it with the value template. So I'm going to say basically, if this, then that. If is state attribute Dreamscreen dot underscore screen, comma, device underscore mode. So if that attribute is 1, so if device mode, so if the mode of the dream screen is 1, then the value will be video. Please make sure that your indentation is right, otherwise it won't work. So if device mode is 1, then the value will be video. Else if, and you say elif, but the same rule, if state attribute, dream screen dot dream screen. Device mode 2. Then it is music. You're probably already wondering why I didn't put the 0 there, but I'll show you. Because 0 is for off. And why didn't I start with off, right? But I'm going to show you. So I copied it because it's much easier. So dream screen device mode is 3. Then it's going to be ambient. And if it's none of these 3, then it should be off. So I'm saying else the value is off. And I'm going to end if statement, and if so I defined the sensor for the dream screen mode. But what I also want to do is that I want to show a certain icon, and I want the icon to change color if it is on or off. So I'm going to define the icons for the different dream screen modes here. So here we go, and then let's copy all this, paste it here, and I'm going to change the values because the if statements and the else statements are all the same, but I'm going to change the values. So for video I'm going to say it's MDI television. For music I'm going to say it's MDI music notes, and for ambient I'm going to say it's MDI light bulb on, and for off I'm going to say it's MDI power off. So I created a custom sensor now for the dream screen mode, but I also want to create a custom sensor for the dream screen input. I'm copying the dream screen mode code and I'm going to paste it here. So I'm going to rename dream screen underscore mode to dream screen underscore input, and the friendly name I'm going to say it's also dream screen input. And now it's not device mode, but it's HDMI input. And if I say HDMI input, okay, let's copy it here because I can paste it on multiple places. You can also do a find and replace, but I will do it like this. So paste, paste. Paste. So HDMI input 0, 1 and 2. And I'll do it there too, 0, 1, and 2. And I'm going to call the first input. I'm going to change the name of the first input to television. And the second input to movie. And the last input to music, sound. And the last input to sound. And I can remove the off state. And for the icon template I will change the icons. The first one, MDI television, can stay. The second one will be MDI television. And the third one will be MDI music notes. And remove the last part. So what I did now is that I created 2 custom sensors, one for Dreamscreen input and one for Dreamscreen mode. So now we're going to create switches, because the sensors only show the states of the Dreamscreen, and with the switches I can actually control it. So I'm creating switches, and it's basically the same as creating sensors. So the platform is again template. And I'm going to say what switches are in the template. I'm going to give it a name, Dreamscreen underscore mode underscore video. That's the first switch. I can say the friendly name is Dreamscreen modes video. And the value template is going to be basically the same as for the sensors. So I'm going to say is state attribute sensor dot Dreamscreen mode is video. So if sensor dot Dreamscreen mode is video, which I defined above, see? So here I'm saying Dreamscreen device mode, if it's video, so Dreamscreen mode is video, then I'm going to say the turn on action. So on turning on, what should I do? I'm going to call a service, and the service is called Dreamscreen dot set underscore mode and the data that I have to send is for the entity, as you can also see in the developer tools. The entity ID is Dreamscreen.dream underscore screen, and the mode that I have to send for that is 1. Yes, that's 1. Okay, and for turn off, I also have to do something. So if the switch is turned off, then I'm going to say again for Dreamscreen dot set underscore mode. I'm going to define the data again. Data entity underscore ID is Dreamscreen dot dream underscore screen. And mode is 0. So basically that's the mode for off. Okay. So let this sink in. I created a switch here, which is called Dreamscreen mode video. What it does is that if the state of the sensor Dreamscreen mode is video, then it will say, okay, you are on the video switch here. And if you click it and you turn it on, then it will set the mode, and it will set the mode to 1, which is the video mode. And if it's already clicked on, or set to on, and you click on it again to set it to off, it will set the Dreamscreen mode to 0. We're going to do the same thing for the other switches. So we copy this code and we paste it here. I'm going to change the video in music. And we're going to say the friendly name is Dreamscreen mode music. And here's going to say if the Dreamscreen mode is music, then if you switch that sensor on, then it will set the mode to 2, and if you switch it off, you will set the mode to 0. And now we are going to copy this again. Copy. And we're going to paste it. And now we are going to do it for ambient. So Dreamscreen mode, music, we're going to make it ambient. I'm going to change music, ambient. And for ambient, the mode is 3. So we're going to copy this again, and we're going to create the last one, which is for Dreamscreen mode off. So I change this, Dreamscreen mode off, Dreamscreen mode off. Off. And we're going to say if you turn it on, then the mode should turn to 0. And if you turn it off, the mode also turns to 0. Because basically, yeah, that's the same thing. So we created switches now for the mode video, mode music, mode ambient and mode off. And we are going to copy all this code from mode off, and we're going to paste it because we have to do the same thing for the inputs. So I'm going to call this Dreamscreen input underscore television, and then the friendly name of all Dreamscreen television input television, and the value template is not saying Dreamscreen mode but Dreamscreen input, and we are going to check if the input is television, if the sensor is television, sorry, and we are not going to set the mode, but we are going to set the HDMI source. That was the service. Dreamscreen set the HDMI source, and that service for television, we're not going to set the source, but we're not going to set the mode, but we are going to set the source. And for television, the source is 0 for turn on. And for turn off, it is a bit tricky and I created a little trick for it, because when you turn it off, you want some sort of dummy action to take place. And for that, we're going to use a helper. And helpers can be found in the configuration screen. So configuration, and then we go to helpers, and we're going to create a boolean helper. So plus, and we create a toggle, and it basically does nothing. So let's call it dummy. And create it. So I have an input underscore boolean dot dummy that I'm going to use. It's a toggle switch that doesn't do anything, but it helps me in getting this done the way how I would like it. It's a bit difficult to explain, but what I'm going to do with turn off is I'm going to call a different service. I'm going to call a service where I can set the boolean value. Input the underscore boolean dot turn underscore off, and the entity ID is not dreamscreen, but that is input underscore boolean dot the dummy, the one that I just defined, and that's enough. So what it basically does is it switches the boolean to off, but never mind, it doesn't really matter what it does. It's just needed to fill the turn off trigger of the switch, because the switch always has a turn on and turn off. If you don't define the turn off, then you have a problem. We do the same for movie. Friendly name Dreamscreen input movie. If is state, I'm calling this movie, and the HDMI source for movie is 1, and the boolean part we can leave the same. And we are going to do the same for the last input. So let's copy this. And paste it over here. I'm going to call input sound. The friendly name also input sound. And sound. And for sound we have source 2. So basically that's it. Now we defined a custom sensor and a custom switch, and they are just defined at the moment, and the next part is to make them work in your dashboard, and you have to do some things for that. So we go back to Home Assistant, and first we're going to check if our code is alright, and we can do that in configuration, check configuration, and yes, it is right, it's green, so green light. And now we are going to restart Home Assistant first. Every time you change something in configuration.yaml, you have to restart Home Assistant to make sure that Home Assistant sees your changes. So now we go back to the dashboard, and as you can see, nothing changed. And that is because these glance cards that we already created do nothing with the custom sensors and custom switches. So now we're going to create a new glance card who will do that. So we're going to add another glance card. There you go. And what you already see is automatically seeing some sensors here, Dreamscreen mode and Dreamscreen input. And those are the ones that we created already. And now we're going to alter the code. And we're going to change some things here to make it perfect. So type is still glance. And let's define the number of columns and make it 4. So let's give it a title, Dreamscreen 2, so we can distinguish this one from the other one. Again, show state false. And now let's define the entities. So we'll start with sensor. So I'll start with entity switch dot Dreamscreen underscore mode underscore off. That is the one that we defined in our configuration.yaml. Okay. And we're going to give it an icon. I'm going to say the icon here is MDI power. Yeah, that's the initial icon. And we're going to give it a name. Maybe it's not necessary, but I'd like to give it a name, so we call it off here. And the tap action will be a bit different than the last time when we created the tap action. And the action is again call service. And the service is switch.toggle. And the data for the service is entity ID. Switch.Dreamscreen underscore mode off. That's the entity that we defined in our configuration.yaml. And now we are going to copy this and paste it. And we will change mode off to mode video. So mode off will be mode video. MDI power, it's going to be MDI television. So we have an initial icon, name, video, and entity ID is switch Dreamscreen mode. Video. And as you can already see, it's that the video icon is yellow. And basically what it is that it shows us that the current mode on our Dreamscreen is video. So yeah, it works. And now copy the rest. Also for sound and for ambient, I think you already know a bit now how this works, right? So let's say this is mode music, MDI music, and music note. It's nicer. It's only one note. That's nicer to do. Should I do music or music note? Make it MDI music. And then name is also music. And then scroll, okay, switch Dreamscreen video modes, music. And copy this again. And paste it one more time. And we change music in ambience. And then MDI is going to be alarm light. And the name is ambience. And for the entity ID we also make it ambience. So now I've defined my 3 buttons or 4 buttons for Dreamscreen mode. So off, video, music and ambient. And as you can see, the video is selected and on my Dreamscreen it's also selected. And if I click to music, it will change on my Dreamscreen. And also it shows the status of my Dreamscreen in Home Assistant now. So this works. And the next part is making the same thing, but now for the input. So we copy over the whole code of the glance card. And I'm going to create a new glance card. And I will paste everything here. And we are going to change mode into input. I only have 3 columns for that, so I'll make it 3 columns. And then change Dreamscreen mode into input. The first one can be removed because we don't we only need 3, so the first one is gone. And then we're going to switch Dreamscreen mode video to input underscore television. Well, the icon is the same. The name will be television. And we are not having a switch toggle in this case, but we have a switch turn on. And the entity ID is Dreamscreen input television. So if the switch is being turned on, then it will show the input television part that we defined in the configuration.yaml. The same we do for movie. So we have input movie. MDI movie. Name movie. And again, switch turn on. Dreamscreen input. Movie. And then we have the input sounds. Music sounds, input sounds, icon, and the iMusic, name, sound, and again, not switch toggle, but switch turn on, And the entity ID is switch Dreamscreen underscore mode, no, not mode, underscore input underscore sound. Save. And now you see another glance card with Dreamscreen input over there. And if I click on movie, it will switch my input to movie. And if I click on television, it will switch my input to television. So yeah, now you see the difference between the different panels that we have. And so now you see the difference between the panels that we have. And we can make it even more nice if you like. First, I'm going to group the last two panels together. I'm going to do this with a vertical stack. So I'm making vertical stack card configuration, and I'm adding a glance card to it. And you see now that the first option of the vertical stack card is a glance card, and I can add already the second option of the vertical stack card, and that's going to be a glance card too. So now I have two glance cards below each other, and what I want to do is I want to show the information of the Dreamscreen mode 2 and Dreamscreen input 2 in those two. So I'm going to copy the code from the Dreamscreen mode 2. I'm going to edit, then I'm going to copy this whole code here, copy it, cancel. And now I'm going to edit my vertical stack. In the first tab, I'm going to click on Show Code Editor. So now I see the code of the first vertical stack option, and I'm going to paste the whole code there. So let's see if it works. Yes, it's over there. Nice. And let's save this one. And now I'm going to copy the code of the Dreamscreen input 2. Let's copy this code. And edit the vertical stack again. Going to the second option, go to Code Editor, select everything here, okay, and then paste it, and there it is. So now I have mode and Dreamscreen input grouped together in one vertical stack card. So save it. And you can see now that it is grouped together. So it will always stay together in the same column, because the other ones were divided between two columns, column 1 and column 2. Now I'm going to delete the other cards. So it's always grouped together in the same column. And now I have one vertical stack with the two cards grouped together, and I have two separate glance cards on top of it. So let's close this. And now I have everything in one screen, and it works perfectly together. So that's really nice. So maybe I can change it a little bit more by giving my vertical stack card a separate title and delete the other one. So I'm going to edit the vertical stack card. I'm giving it a title. My Dreamscreen. Whoa. Yeah, let's remove the two. That's already noted. Can also, okay. So modes, and okay, let's remove the two also here, and the input called input. So this looks much nicer. Save this. I have now my dream screen, mode, input. Maybe I don't want to show the titles. Okay, so let's remove the titles on the names. So I'm going to say, oh, this is name is nil. Name is nil. Name is nil. And name is nil. Or you can, yeah, let's do it for input too. Name is nil. Name is nil. You can also remove the names, but this is also an option if you don't want to show something. Just you give it this. Name nil. Okay, so now we have mode and input, and it's just, I mean, some people like the names, other people don't like the names. So this looks much better. I think it looks much better now. Okay, let's do one last thing. Remove these cards. Delete cards. Delete. Delete. Okay, so here's my Dreamscreen dashboard. And now I can change the mode and the input, and I can also see what the status, the current status is of my input and mode. That's really nice. And you can do the same thing for all the other options that the Dreamscreen has that you can see in the developer tools. Now you can see all the attributes, and you can fiddle around with the attributes and the surfaces to make the same thing for the HDR, for the colors, etc, etc, etc. I think you can do this by yourself. You got a lot of information here, so let it sink in. Maybe look the video twice or maybe multiple times to really get the hang of it. Yeah, well, this is basically what it is, and we're going to take it one step further, because the next step will be that you can control your dream screen with your Google Assistant or your Google Home, and then everything is perfect. So thank you so much. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you very soon with the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye.